Hi, I'm Kirsten, and I'm 44 years old. Thanks for picking my story. I hope you find it either insightful or really entertaining. I certainly didn't expect what happened to me. I've always been close to my friends, especially Trisha, my best friend since college. We met back when we were 20 and 19, and we've been inseparable ever since. We had big dreams of living next door to each other and raising our kids together. And you know what? We actually made it happen. We worked hard in college, found great partners, and bought houses right next to each other, just like we planned. Before we knew it, Trisha and I were both expecting babies around the same time. It was a funny coincidence as we got pregnant just a couple of months apart. It wasn't exactly what we had planned, but it added an extra thrill to our journey. Life was pretty good for us. Trisha felt like more than just a friend. She was like a twin flame or a sister I never knew I had. We did everything together and genuinely cared for each other. As the years passed by, our bond only grew stronger. Our kids were growing up too, and Kyler and Ricky especially became inseparable, just like us. They didn't really have a choice. Trisha and I were so close, they had to get along. Trisha's husband and I even joked about whether our kids would end up falling in love when they grew up. Trisha and I thought it was unlikely, but life has a funny way of surprising you. I remember that day so clearly, like it just happened. Trisha and I were sitting on her porch, chatting away about everything, as best friends do. Suddenly, Ricky and Kyler walked up the driveway, and there was something different about them. It struck me when I saw them holding hands. Ricky was 19 and Kyler was 18, and it seemed like that was the moment they decided to be officially together. Trisha and I were surprised, but apparently, their friends and even their cousins had seen it coming for a while. "Hey, you two, how was your day?" "Wait, what's going on here?" Kyler and Ricky both took a deep breath and then spilled the news. "Mom, Aunt Trisha, Ricky, and I are officially a couple." "What? Really? Oh, that's fantastic news, you two. I knew something was up when you walked up the driveway holding hands like that." "Yeah, we decided to make it official. We've been keeping it quiet for a while now. Looks like our husbands were right, huh?" "Seems that way. But seriously, congratulations, you two. We're so happy for you. Thanks, Aunt Kirsten. It means a lot. We were a bit nervous about how you guys would react." "Sweetheart, you should have told us sooner. We're thrilled for both of you." "Absolutely, you don't need to worry. We're here to support you, just like always." "We appreciate that, Aunt Kirsten, and we're really glad you guys are okay with it. And who knows, maybe our kids will grow up together just like we did. We might even start placing bets on when they'll become a couple." "Let's not rush things now. Let's just celebrate this beautiful moment." "Sounds good to me. Thanks, Mom, Aunt Trisha, for being so cool about it." "Always, sweetheart. Love knows no schedule. We're just happy you found each other." It felt like destiny had brought Kyler and Ricky together. Trisha and I were thrilled for our kids. However, things took a turn when they were on a school trip, and Trisha and I were hanging out at my place. Out of the blue, Trisha asked, "Hey, Chris, have you ever thought about whether our kids should really be together?" I knew there was more to it, but she brushed it off. Despite my persistence, she avoided the topic and made excuses to leave early. It bothered me, but I let it slide. Over the years, Trisha's unease around Kyler and Ricky's affection became obvious. I couldn't ignore it any longer. "Trisha, what's really going on?" She denied any issue, but I could sense her discomfort. I confronted her, urging her to open up. Despite her denial, I reassured her of my support and urged her not to shut me out. She insisted everything was fine, but I couldn't shake the feeling that she was hiding something. Once Ricky and Kyler announced their engagement, the chaos of wedding planning began. We threw ourselves into organizing the big day, but Trisha's involvement was noticeably lacking. She made excuses, leaving me to handle most of the responsibilities. While Trisha's behavior wasn't entirely unexpected, it surprised Ricky and Kyler. They assumed Trisha and I would be inseparable in the planning process. Instead, it felt like I was managing everything alone. Trisha's increasing distance became more obvious as time passed, and Ricky started confiding in me about her unusual reactions. Every time Kyla came up, he couldn't shake the feeling that Trisha wasn't entirely happy about their marriage. "Have you talked to her about it?" "Yeah, I have. She keeps insisting that everything's fine when I know it's not. I don't understand why she's acting so strangely." Despite our concerns about Trisha, we had a wedding to plan, and there was no time to dwell on her negativity. Ricky and Kayla were excited to celebrate their love, and ensuring their special day went smoothly became my top priority. The anticipation for the wedding day was intense after weeks of careful planning. Despite our efforts, Trisha, who had been mysteriously absent leading up to the big day, seemed to cause unexpected disruptions. Each accidental spill or dropped item added to the chaos, and the timing seemed too coincidental to ignore. It just seems too convenient, don't you think? As we gathered in Kayla's dressing room with the other bridesmaids, I found myself constantly shuttling between there and the venue, balancing the exhilarating responsibility of organizing the event with the exhaustion it brought. While making my rounds around the venue, I paused at the door of Kayla's dressing room. The voices inside were quiet, and my curiosity got the best of me. Kyla was talking to Trisha, and it seemed like the other bridesmaids were out of the room too. "What's going on, Trisha? You've been scarce, and your behavior. It's been strange." As I listened in, hoping for an honest conversation, what I heard stunned me. Trisha opened up, revealing her true feelings, and they weren't good. She was unhappy with Kayla, criticizing her decisions and questioning if she was suitable for Ricky. It hit me hard. My lifelong best friend seemed to harbor serious negativity towards Kayla. "I've never approved of you, Kayla. Do you think you were raised properly? Do you think you're worthy of my son? You don't deserve him. I hate that this is happening. How can you say that? I had no idea you felt this way. You must have known. I've been uncomfortable around you for a long time. Then why didn't you speak up? Why wait until my wedding day to unload all this? If you had a problem with me, why not talk to me instead of making me out to be the villain? Not a chance. I won't ruin my son's happiness because of my issues with you. Even if he doesn't see your value now, he will eventually." It was like a punch to the gut. I couldn't believe Trisha had been keeping these resentments hidden, and her odd behavior on the wedding day seemed to stem from these deep-seated disapprovals. The gravity of what I overheard hit me like a ton of bricks. Someone I trusted so much was concealing toxic emotions. The joyous occasion of the wedding now felt tainted by this unpleasant truth. Feeling stunned and wounded, I had to decide what to do. I barged into the room, only to find my daughter, tears streaking down her face. Seeing Kayla in distress ignited my anger, and I unleashed it on Trisha, demanding to know what her issue was. I was seething with fury, feeling betrayed and wounded by someone I consider family. "What on earth is going on, Trisha? What's gotten into you? Are you out of your mind?" Trisha seemed taken aback, probably not expecting my abrupt entrance. I didn't care. I needed answers. The atmosphere in the room was tense, with everyone else remaining silent, likely shocked by the sudden confrontation. But I paid no heed to their reactions. All that mattered was unraveling this mess and salvaging what was left of the wedding. "Trisha, tell me what's happening. Why is my daughter crying on her wedding day?" "Kirsten, it's nothing really. Just some pre-wedding jitters." "Jitters? Come on, Trisha. I heard your conversation in there. You can't deceive me." "You've misunderstood, Kirsten. I was simply telling Kayla about the stresses of weddings, you know." "Don't lie to me, Trisha. I heard you mention something about Ricky not deserving Kayla and ruining his life. What's that supposed to mean? Do you think I raised my daughter poorly?" "No, Kirsten, you've got it all wrong. I was just expressing concern, offering motherly advice." "Motherly advice? Making my daughter cry is your idea of advice? Trisha, you're supposed to be my best friend. What kind of friend talks negatively about their bestie's daughter on her wedding day?" "Kirsten, I had no more excuses. Trisha, you've been a terrible friend, and I won't tolerate you ruining my daughter's special day. If you can't be happy for her, maybe you should leave." We continued arguing, and Kayla was attempting to fix her makeup. Eventually, Trisha left, embarrassed and unable to accept responsibility for her actions. It was truly eye-opening to witness. "Why would she do this to me, Mom? What did I do?" "I don't know, sweetheart, but one thing's for sure. It's not your fault. Trisha's acting childish, and she's clearly envious of you." "I mean, why bring this up now? Like you said, if she had a problem, she should have talked to you. But she knows her excuses for disliking you don't hold water, or else she wouldn't have behaved so terribly." Kyla shed a few more tears, and I reassured her that everything would be all right. Then I had a sudden idea. "I just thought of something. We're going to teach that woman a lesson, but only if you're okay with it," I said, seeking Kayla's approval. I outlined my plan to expose Trisha's true nature, which immediately lifted Kayla's spirits. She agreed it was a perfect plan and urged us to act swiftly to give Trisha a taste of her own medicine. With the plan in motion, we proceeded with the ceremony, trying to maintain a sense of normalcy. Throughout the event, I kept an eye out for Trisha, who appeared increasingly uncomfortable. Good. I was pleased to see her squirm, but she was about to feel even more uncomfortable. As Kayla and Ricky exchanged vows, the atmosphere relaxed, and people began to enjoy the festivities. That's when I sprang into action. I approached the DJ booth and requested the microphone and controls for a few minutes, explaining that I had an important announcement to make. With determination, I took charge of the microphone, signaling for the music to stop. A hush fell over the room as all eyes turned to me. Trisha, standing in the corner, looked visibly nervous. I began by thanking everyone for being part of the special day, but hinted at an unfortunate revelation. Ricky looked puzzled as I addressed the room about Trisha's recent behavior. I described her negativity and expressed my disappointment. Recently, I discovered something that deeply saddened me. It turned out that my supposed best friend of 20 years had been nothing but cruel to my daughter, making her cry just moments before she walked down the aisle. Gasps filled the room, and Trisha looked shocked, but she was about to be even more surprised by what I had on her. The tension in the air was palpable as I believed I had undeniable proof of Trisha's actions. With a dramatic flair, I revealed an audio recording from my Bluetooth earpiece, capturing a conversation between Trisha and Keela. People gasped as the harsh words reverberated through the venue. You see, as the event planner, I wore an earpiece and carried a clipboard, bustling around the venue. I made it a habit to record my conversations so I could listen back later and plan the wedding accordingly. Even on the wedding day, this setting was still on, thank goodness. Without it, I wouldn't have the standing audio recording. Mom, is this true? Did you really say those things to her? I can explain. How could you do that to Keela on our wedding day? Ricky, honey, I didn't mean for things to escalate like this. I was just worried. Worried, Mom? Kyla and I have been together for years. She's my partner, the love of my life. You had no right to question that on our wedding day. I know. There's no excuse. Do you really think you can talk about Kayla like that and then act like everything's fine? Ricky, please try to understand. I didn't mean it. Trisha's face turned several shades of red as the recording played for everyone to hear. She looked like she wanted to disappear. Ricky's scowl deepened, clearly disgusted by his mother's behavior. The guests were stunned, many of them glaring at Trisha as I stopped the recording after letting it play a couple of times. The room fell into silence. You could hear a pin drop, and Trisha's nervous gulp was audible. How could you do this to me? You did it to yourself, Trisha. You're despicable, and I'm relieved to finally see it. I'll never forgive you for this. Fine, because we'll never forgive you either. Security, please escort her out. What? Why? You're really going to kick out your own mother? We'll discuss this later, Mom. I'm still deeply hurt. I think it's best if you leave. I can't believe this. You're trying to ruin my life. Believe it, Trisha. No one gets away with making my daughter cry. Now go. As the commotion settled and Trisha attempted to garner support from the crowd, I felt a whirlwind of emotions. Part of me was furious, not just at Trisha, but also at myself for missing the signs earlier. I prided myself on being a vigilant and supportive mother, and failing to see Trisha's true nature for so long left me feeling terrible. Trisha tried to justify herself, but I wasn't interested. She had plenty of time to talk to me about whatever was bothering her. But she chose to do it on a day meant for joy and happiness, clinging to her excuses for as long as she could. Leave now, Trisha. Kayla, Ricky, and I will listen to you when we're ready. She had months to come clean, but she chose to disrupt a day meant for celebration with her grievances. Determined to dispel the negativity and salvage the celebration, we pressed on with the festivities. Finally conceding defeat, Trisha chose not to further embarrass herself and cooperated with the security guards to leave. Despite feeling foolish for not seeing through Trisha's facade earlier, there was a strange sense of relief in finally seeing her true colors. Someone who deliberately tries to ruin a wedding, especially one involving their own family, lacks basic decency and empathy. After Trisha's departure, the wedding resumed. Although there was some lingering awkwardness, the genuine love and joy of Keela and Ricky helped to lift everyone's spirits. The couple radiated happiness, overshadowing the negativity Trisha had attempted to inject into their special day. As the hours passed, we continued to enjoy ourselves, despite Trisha's attempts to reach out to me through calls, all of which I declined. I sent her a firm text indicating that I wasn't ready to speak with her. Her actions towards my daughter on such an important day were unforgivable. Even Trisha's husband appeared visibly upset, choosing to leave the wedding early, presumably to have a serious conversation with her. I didn't know how things would unfold, nor did I particularly care. My priority was supporting Keela and Ricky, ensuring that despite the hiccup, their wedding day remained a cherished memory for them. As the night wore on, I couldn't shake off the anger and disappointment at Trisha's betrayal. I made a vow to shield my daughter from any future harm, even if it meant severing ties with someone I had considered a best friend for years. Trisha had chosen her path, and I had chosen mine, one that prioritized the happiness and well-being of my family